So, just wanted to start. How has your mindset shifted from when you got drafted versus where you are now? Because you were preparing for a kicker battle, I assume, and now you are unequivocally the starter. How has that changed?
I think realistically, I'm not never really think about competition. I just go out there and try to give it the best that I got. I just focus on what I can control, and then everything else really just takes care of itself.
For sure. So, how is it being in this league that has, and especially on this team that has so greatly kind of brought kicking to a conversation it wasn't always at in terms of football in general? Guys like Brandon Aubrey, Harrison Mevis, these are names that are finally getting talked about on ESPN and SportsCenter at the same level, same conversation as, edge rushers, quarterbacks, wide receivers. How great is it to be adding to that legacy?
Oh, I think it's great, man. I think this league really provides an opportunity for not just specialists but everyone really to showcase their skills. It's just another chance for us to get on the field and get some good things on film. I think recently in the last couple of years, like you mentioned, there's been really a lot of success from the specialist group, predominantly kickers, I would say. So I think, for us, really, it's, every football field's 100 yards. So as long as you're able to put them through, and stack some good kicks, you should be okay. It really just showcases how good of a market there is out there for kickers. There's a lot of really good kickers out there, and this league just provides an extra opportunity for them to really just take advantage of it and make their kicks, and hopefully, God willing, have an opportunity to play the next level again.
For sure. Now, who have been some of your inspirations since you were younger, and especially, potentially modeling your modern game after? Who've been the guys that you've always looked towards?
Um, that's a great question. I would say I there's never someone I'd model my game after. I to me this position specifically, it's a very mental position. So I like to handle things the way I do it. There's times that I remember to this day, like when I was in junior college, I tried a few different techniques, like when Cairo Santos used to be with the Chiefs. I used to try to mimic this technique. I tried Justin Tucker, Harrison Bucker. I tried all their techniques, but I just realized that you know what works with me is my own technique, and really just not changing that and just focusing more on the mental game and just being prepared mentally. The mental reps are as important as the physical reps, so you just got to be able to go out there and give it the best you got, but stay in between the 2 years. That's it.
For sure. Now, the kicking again with the UFL has been on the forefront of conversation, especially because of obviously some different kickoff rules, but mainly the new 4-point conversion. Are you excited? Are you guys putting in extra reps in that, 60 plus field goal range? What does that change for you?
I would say in terms of mechanics and reps, it doesn't really change much. I would say it's always great to have the opportunity to kick 4 points, and I think it's going to make the game a little bit more interesting. Maybe it's going to change the dynamic in the play calls when it gets to that midfield range. So I would say a lot of it's you know going to come down to strategic, what teams wanting to do. But in terms of, for us as kickers, I think it just gives us the opportunity to, have a little bit more of a spotlight when it comes to making those long kicks because they're worth more points. But realistically, most of the kicks that a lot of kickers hit, if there was no net back there, I mean, you're hitting anywhere between a 50 to a 60-yard ball all the time. I've trained my mind and my body to not really change much on my kicking mechanics. Like every kick's the same. But at the same time, every kick is different, in a way like, you make a kick, it's great. Move on to the next kick. You miss a kick, all right, go on to the next one. So you gotta have that goldfish memory. So just short-term memory, and just go out there and back the next kick.
For sure. And what has it been like working with guys like Ryan Langan and Colby Wadman, these guys who have been on the Stallions since it's the jump? How has working with them kind of brought you into this, has it brought you into a different system, kind of give you just the team jump start? What is it like working with those guys?
Oh man, those guys are great. I mean, first of all, they're vets at what they do. Ryan, being a really good long snapper, and same with Colby being a great punter. So I think they welcome me with open arms, and I think with the specialist group, we're all pretty chill. We get along really well, just because it's we're specialists. So like we still football players, but our game is a little bit different. There's a lot of mental it's a mental game that is along as the physical game. But I think, with us, it's really about just developing that chemistry. Again, it's the timing with us, the battery operation, all of that. But I mean, you just get your reps in, and you should be able to develop that after a couple of weeks. So now we feel pretty confident, and we're in a really good groove. So super thankful, that they welcome me here. They've been with the Stallions for a while, so they've seen coaching staffs, players, and all those go, and no pressure, but the last two kickers are in the league from this team, so.
Exactly. It's a legacy you want to add to. And speaking of legacies, your own, you have a very, very impressive, one of the greatest college kicking careers. What personal goals do you want to, either exceed or achieve? Are you aiming for a new field goal made record? What personal goals are you focusing on this season?
Yeah, so I would say, first and foremost, you got to do your job, make kicks. It'd be awesome, and if God willing, get the opportunity to hit a long one and hit a couple game winners, and hopefully, like I tell Colby and Ryan is, hey man, let's go out there and break the UFL record, and let's see if we can hit the NFL record. We have the opportunity to do it, I'm going to put my best foot forward and put it through. So again, it'd be great just to add on to the legacy of kickers that this team has had, and yeah, just got to be ready for anything.
For sure. How is kicking already different from that college level? Do you have more involvement with, preparing and mudding the balls? What is the differences you felt? Obviously, there's a game speed difference in the players that are coming at you. What have you already noticed through, your first few weeks in training camp?
Yeah, going back to, like you touching on college, I think, the differences in the levels is really just understanding and developing a routine, what works with you, kind of whether it's warming up, whether it's pre-kick mentality, whether it's post-kick. You have to develop a routine. And sometimes depending on experiences. Sometimes it could be injuries or whatnot. You're able to just like any other position, you're able to adjust and adapt your routine to that. But I would say now in the pro level, it's a lot of just honing on your routine. Keeping uh, keeping yourself in terms of your body healthy, nutrition. Lifting, all that is the priority. So you just got to stay ready. But a lot of it has to do with maintaining a good routine that works with you. What works with you, and you have to do whatever you can to help perform. So you got to do things that translate to the field. So I would say that's one of the bigger differences. Um, I would say some of the tips I got were from Colby and Ryan when it comes to getting the balls ready and all that. I'm a pretty old school in that aspect that I'm just going to kick the ball until it's ready. So they know the tricks to get the ball mudded and get it ready, in a couple of days. But yeah, when I first encountered that, I just told him, I was like, man, I just kick the ball until it's ready. So
That's great. And you've been talking a lot about the mindset, which kicking is a very mindset thing. Are there certain things that you do, that you have routines to get you settled? Are you one of those guys who, because there's some guys who love the noise, there's some guys who hate it. What kind of goes into your mental preparation as you're walking out there to make a kick?
yeah, great question. For me specifically, I like to keep a lookout for the game, wherever we're at in the drive. After we cross the 50-yard line, I'll hit a couple balls in the net, just making sure that I have a good football contact. Just going based on that feel. In terms of what my mentality is when I go in there, I really just rely a lot on my muscle memory. So like I would say a lot of great kickers do is just kind of zone out. Just go in there, find a good aiming point. You have the uprights there, but I like to look at something in between the uprights to kind of have like an aiming point. Because if your ball is close to that aiming point and you open up your vision, you'll see that it's right between the posts. So I always like to look for something in between. After I give Colby the nod, I just react and just go through it until really the ball is off my foot, and after that, that's we count on it going in. So that's really kind of my mentality is I go in there just on my excuse me. I just want to hit a good ball, good football contact, stay true, good technical. You can say staying true to my technique, not changing the swing, whether I'm 35 yards or 60 yards. It's the same swing all the time. I didn't understand this until I got to the pro level, just because I'm not a golfer. But it's a lot like golf when it comes to that. You want to keep the same swing. So that's really what I try to do, no matter where we're at on the field.
That's great to hear. Yeah. And are there any teams that or stadiums you're really looking forward to? Obviously, it's a 1-0 mentality, but are you one of those? Are you excited to face some of the Texas-based teams, show back out in the state, or what are you looking forward to?
Oh yeah, thanks for asking that. I would say, I'm definitely looking forward to, playing in our home stadium. I've never played in that stadium, so I think it'd be
Mhm.
great. I've heard a lot of great things from current players, about the fans, and it gets rowdy and then it gets pretty loud in there sometimes. So I'm excited for that, but I'm also excited to see face some of the specialists that I've known for a while. There's some new kickers in this league that I used to train with or I've trained with or competed against. So I'm just excited to go up and kind of compete against those guys. But at the end of the day, wherever we play, it doesn't matter the condition, doesn't matter home or away, 100 yards is 100 yards. So you just got to go out there and bang them. So my mentality is really just to give it the best that I have, the best that I can, and try to stack the best season that I can for myself and for my team. And I'm just trusting in God that He leads me in that aspect. And I just got to keep my head down and kick it through. That's it.
For sure. And I know we're starting to run close on time, so I'll just ask one last one. Like you said, with the Stallions at Protective Stadium, is there something you do to kind of get in there and get the feel? Because, that's your home stadium, but also obviously all the practice takes place in Arlington. What is, do you have that sort of mental routine or somewhere you go to kind of get yourself ready and be like, this is the place?
Um, when it comes to that, like, any pregame really routines, I don't have you can say a routine per se. I just go through my game routine is my practice routine. That's it. I don't stray away from it. So, how you do anything is how you do everything. So that's the way I look at it. Is I do the same things I practice as I would do in a game. Only differences in the game is the length of the game. It could be 2.5 hours. It could be 4 hours, depending on how many passes we want to throw. So you got to stay ready for that. Really some of the things that I can probably that come to mind that just help me, stay on that, control rate, control heart rate, not letting your highs get too high or lows get too low. Just, I tend to, I like to read. So I like to read some scripture, listen to some music, but really just do the same things that I do at practice, So, I just bring that to the game and that's really like the way I like to go about things.
Perfect. And then a final quick one. What's the farthest you've hit so far in training camp?
In training camp, so we attempted with team. We had a 60 yarder. We've stayed within 60 yards. But I know we'll probably try to test the ranges here in the next 2 weeks. So I'm just getting prepared to hopefully hit a 70 yarder. We'll see what happens. But yeah, 60 yards so far.
Nice. Well, that's a nice 4 points on the board right there.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much. We're looking forward to seeing you kick. I know a lot of Stallions fans are excited to see you add to the pantheon of kickers, and I know it's going to be a great season for the team.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. Thank you so much, Logan. I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you, John.